Good morning, good morning, good morning. Uh, Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am A.D. Walker. Next to me, to my left, right. I always say that because, depending on how you're looking at it on your phone, might be opposite, maybe somewhere. Is Brian A. Corey Sr. in the building.
Good morning. Good morning. Today is going to be a great day.
Yes,
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
happy Tuesday. All right. I'm going to need you to dig in your memory banks. Um, I know you watched the news. We've had some tragic issues happen. One, I think he was 16 years old that died trying to save some children. I've been wanting to talk about this. Well, just at least mention it. They was during spring break, trying to save, I think, his brothers or something, some friends. They were at the beach, I think, and they got swept in by a current. Um, and he passed away dying, from trying to save him. I think even his friend tried to get him, and unfortunately got him caught up in the current. So we're
Hmm.
praying for the family. I'm trying to
When and
get the
where was
name.
this?
This was, I think, in Florida, and I apologize, guys, but I end the show and I'm like, man, I wanted to talk about it. It comes up in my news feed and I've seen it. Let me see. Let's see. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna go. Let me put my intro in, and then we're gonna
Yep.
come back, and I should have it done, figured out by then. All right, hold on one second, guys. One second.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
All right, we're back. His name was Bryce Brooks. Bryce Brooks, 16-year-old. Um, he was on vacation. He died drowning trying to save kids. After seeing a group of younger children in distress at a Florida beach, and this was during spring break. Um, and he passed, as well as did a family friend who went in the water to help the teenager as well. Apparently, I think he was on a Netflix show called Instant Dream Home. Never seen it, but yeah. So condolences to the fam. Um, it's very tragic, and it's heroic, but very tragic as well. Hey, good morning, Mom McCory. Good morning, Jeff. Thank you guys for being here. I just kind of wanted to mention that, and just kind of know that those efforts and things that happen aren't forgotten. It's unfortunate. So my prayer and heart goes out. Having children, we know the loss of your child is huge. Um, so just being mindful, like the currents. We hear that a lot. Especially during the summer. Riptides and currents. You got to be careful out there in the water, um, especially a swimming level, because I've heard of people that can swim. Things happen because you get into a spot where it's above your skill. You know, like I can swim, but how long? you know, if I got into a real, like a real fight, how long can I fight? Will be a thing. Because so just be mindful, guys, and just prayers going to the family. And there's another gentleman, but I can't remember his name either. Died going to the wrong house. That was a horrible situation. The gentleman that shot the child has now been arrested. I'm not sure if he's still in custody. That's an ongoing story as well. And but the teenager lived, so that's a blessing. That's a blessing. He's alive. So at least we have a chance to prosecute. I get it. So pass along. So we have a guest trying to come through. Sometimes, the computers and internet and all that. So he said, I'm working through it now. So maybe he'll be able to make it. If not, we'll just have him on another day. So with my limited knowledge about, property and finance and just kind of the things I've been watching, I want to talk about, does anybody hear static, or is it just between me and this mic? Let me know, because then I can try my best to ignore it. You can't hear it? Okay, great. It's between me and this mic. All right, awesome. I could I'm gonna fight to ignore it, guys. It's better than an echo, because the echoes is like hearing your voice. So today we're talking about, is it a good time to finance property with interest rates going up? It can be a clear indicator. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to think about it. For those that are already in the home search, I know it's the worst that you started your search and interest rates. Okay, cool, Jeff. Thanks. Interest rates was down at one space, and now it's like the longer the search takes, it makes you. I mean, just take that. I'll just take it. I don't care. I'm gonna just take it. This is gonna cost me longer the longer I wait. So, shout out to you that are looking at this point and maybe a little concerned. All right, in the building.
These rates are insane.
Yeah. Is that right, Jeff? Oh, let's see. Oh, he was there. He stuck his hand over his. Okay, he'll be back. He moved something. He adjusted. He should have just left it. Oh, he's right, a tar paper shack. Right. At this point, then this the worst is you ever. Oh man, let's. You ever have a purchase that you settled on? You ever looking for something, and the struggle to find it wore you out, that you just kind of settled on? So have you ever done that? Like on large purchases, a car or something, just like, or because I know I've been in need. Like the worst is in need of a car, and you go to a place and these terms suck, but I need a car, and they know I need a car. It's like, you could be driving away right now, buddy. I've had some.
Yeah, I have made that mistake.
Okay.
But it's funny. I never forget when I was gonna buy an SUV. You remember many years ago I had this Suburban.
All
but
right.
when I went to purchase the Suburban, what's interesting is I started out wanting something, a box car, something. So the first thing I looked at was a RAV4. I'm like, oh, nope, that's too small.
Okay.
Then I looked at a Toyota, the small Toyota SUV. It was like what is it? What's the Toyota SUV? No, not a 4Runner. That's a truck. I forgot what it was. But anyway, I went to the Toyota dealer and I started looking at vehicles and SUVs, and I kept going up and up and up and up. I ended up looking at this Ford Explorer. And so that looked like it might do the trick for me. So I put a down payment on it, but it was the end of the day, and I couldn't get it all done that day. So they convinced me to put a down payment on it.
Oh.
And as I drove away, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna do it.
Right.
We went to we drove past a Chevy dealer, and then I saw the Suburban. I'm like, that's it.
Right.
But I just put the down payment on this car, and I was talking to my wife. I'm like, man, I just put this down. I'm like, I'm gonna go get my money back.
Right.
So when you pay a dealer money,
oh yeah,
you're not getting your money back.
Right.
You can have a car,
Right.
but you're not getting your money back. So I went back, and I had put like $500 down on it. So I went back. This was in LA. I went back to get my money, and I said, "Hey, listen, I just saw something else. I'm going to go a different direction." They were like, "Well, you've already committed to buying the vehicle." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." And I had, at that point, I had learned, you want what you want. If you don't want it, don't get it. Right. Don't let anybody talk you out. Right.
Right. That's big.
But they had talked me into putting the money down.
Of course. Let's go, buddy.
So I was settling.
Yeah. Yes.
Drove away, regretted it, went back, like, nah, I need my money back.
Right.
They were like, well, I'm sorry, the finance manager's gone and the money's already been put in the safe for the night. So just come back tomorrow and we'll see what we can work out. And I'm like, I told myself,
Right.
I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not buying this car.
Right. Right.
So I told him what I told myself.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I came back here to get my money. I need you
Right.
to give me my money back. You
Right.
have not, the money hasn't left the building.
Right. Right. Right.
So give it back to me. You should, if your office is open, you
Right.
should be able to give me my money.
Right.
And I got my money back and I went and bought the Suburban.
Wow. Nice. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
that was
awesome.
the one time I won. The other
Right.
time I lost.
That's the win right there. All right. I think he's ready. Oh, wait. Okay. He's adjusted. Looking. All right. Straight. Coming to the stage. Gentleman I've known for a little while. He is a great man of God. And we're going to talk about finances. He is can get you financed into a property or building. And we're going to discuss, is it a good time to get into financing real estate? Pastor Daunte Long. What's up, sir? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, good sir.
Good morning.
Trust
How you
everybody up to a great, terrific Tuesday.
Yes, indeed.
Happy Tuesday to you,
Yes,
sir.
Happy
Likewise,
Tuesday.
likewise.
All right. Let's see. So we're talking about real estate and financing. So when I
Why don't you
called
tell
him,
us who you are?
Yeah,
Tell
that
us
works.
what it is that you
Yeah.
do and how you got into this business.
That works. I I like to jump into the meat. I'm a meat person. Go ahead.
We need to qualify him first, man.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, so I am Daunte Long. I am the principal of the Essence Consulting Group, which is a small nonprofit organization that has successfully secured very close to $75 million in nonprofit lending since 2006. 2006 was the year in which we founded Essence Consulting Group, which was primarily centered around helping nonprofit organizations, particularly churches, and I'm not ashamed to say exclusively African American churches, in securing real estate, whether that be purchase or whether that be refinancing, and also nesticized, if you will, into helping churches with other type of financial needs, whether that be equipment, vehicles. We've been successful in allowing our finance and vehicle to just assist churches all around, and so we've been able to finance churches here in metropolitan Atlanta, Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, and I could go on for a few minutes on the various metropolitan cities in which we've secured financing for churches. But I have just really had a heartbeat for helping churches, and we've been graced to do that very close to 20 years now. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity that has been afforded to me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm not the interviewer. I'm just taking liberties because I've been on BOL for so long. I just feel like I can do that. And because you are my friend, I feel like I can take these liberties as well. Here's a question that I have for you, Pastor Long. I'm not going to say Pastor Long today. I'm going to say Dr. Long.
You're okay. You're okay.
You said specifically churches in the African American community.
Correct.
And having that focus, there had to be a reason why you were focused on that particular demographic. My personal feeling is because we know that we have a rough time already as it is getting financed for whatever reasons there might be. So to have somebody focus on that is a distinctive privilege for our community. Can you explain why you target this specific demographic?
Sure. Back in the mid 2000s, I was a college student serving as a youth pastor of a local church. And at that time, my pastor was trying or preparing to purchase to sell the current building and purchase a new facility. And many times he would allow me to serve as a courier to take the paperwork down to the brokers, or later I would find them out to be consultants. And as I would take the paperwork down to their office, I would notice that they were a very successful group. At that time, there was a very famed publication. Many may remember Charisma Magazine. And this consulting group had a full page ad. And I asked them, I said, here I was, no more than maybe about 22, 23 years old. I'm like, look, guys, what is it that you guys do? And they said, we help churches. We finance churches. And as I would take the paperwork back and forth, being inquisitive, one day I asked him, exactly how do you do this? And I'm just so thankful. I will always shout out Mr. Anthony Brevard, Tony Brevard, as I call him, Mr. Charles Wallace. These two brothers at that time were doing several $100 million in church lending annually. And those brothers set me down, showed me how to underwrite a deal, introduced me to dozens of bankers in the Atlanta market, allowed me to be an understudy, an apprentice, if you will. And then in 2006, that's when I was able to spread my wings and initialize the Essence Consulting Group.
Okay. Okay. That is that you choosing it or it choosing you though?
I think it's a little bit of both. The dichotomy of it is that I didn't realize the brevity of what these guys were doing at the time. I really thought that anybody could walk into a bank, any church could just walk into a bank, share their story, and then a banker would just hear the story, look at a few bank statements, and give them a loan. But much to Graham and much to many pastors' chagrin, it is not that easy, right? And so as I really began to understand it, I felt the burden, because at that time, the church that I was employed with, serving as a youth pastor, there were challenges because they were opening up a daycare center. They had a food pantry. They had a clothes closet. They were also renting out. There was a successful Christian bookstore that was on site. And so the reason why I was going back and forth was showing income, showing expenditures, potential income. And then I began to understand the history, the significance at that time of what denominational agents or affiliation could help strengthen. I found out what giving units were. And all this put a burden on me to really go out and educate more churches to understand the process. And then I'll never forget, one day I was driving down the street for that food pantry. The driver, as it were, that day was unavailable. And so the pastor asked me, I'm the youth pastor, but he asked me to drive the van for the food pantry to go pick up the supplies. And I'll never forget, on that on that rainy Monday, I really felt the impression of the Lord upon me. I didn't hear God speak through an audible voice, but I felt the impression, the burden, some would say, the presence, others would describe it as, to go out and help, to strengthen, and to educate many more. And I'm just grateful that the Lord placed that upon me.
That's what I wanted to hear from you, man. Thank you so much. You got access in, you got the information, and then you had an opportunity to experience what it was like to bring someone through the door, right? And so the educational aspect of it when it comes to owning property, I heard you say multiple things that were needed within the building from your own pastor. You need to have space for teaching, space for outreach, space for, development and all of that. And so when you own property, That's the significance of having ownership, being able to control what you can do within your facility and not having to wait for permission to do anything. That's what ownership is about, not having to get permission. And that's the biggest part that I take away from it. The benefits, the educational aspect of it, and going to an area that doesn't get the help that they need and being able to educate them, I think is pretty critical. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. AD, I'll let you go ahead and
Thank you.
I'll let you ask your questions now, I guess, since I hijacked everything.
Thank you. Great story. Love the backstory. Love how you got into this space. Thank you, Brian, for leading us that way. Because I want to jump into the meat, but that was good though, because I never really known how you got into it. It's amazing the pivotal moments of connecting to the right people, and getting, it literally set you to a different course that not sure where you would be had you never met these
and not to mention the fact that I want people to be able to call Long if they have questions. And so not knowing his background and why he does what he does makes it more difficult. If you understand someone's passion and why they do what they do, then you're going to be more apt to call them when you need information. So I appreciate that.
Indeed. You did mention it's a nonprofit, your business, nonprofit. What made you go that route?
Again, I saw the disconnect between the Black church and the lending community.
Yep.
Okay.
Simple as that. There is, and I'm afraid to say that there will continue to be just a disconnect, because for so many of us, we do our very best to just try to maintain. So many of our churches are happy with, as Pastor McCory said a moment ago, just having somewhere to meet. We don't care if it's a converted restaurant, an office space, a daycare center, a funeral home, a hotel room, just somewhere to meet. But then as our ministries begin to grow, blossom, expand, then we run into the challenges of trying to do ministry. It's great to have gatherings, worship services. That's phenomenal, and it has its place. It is necessary. But when it is trying to do the ministry aspect, when you're trying to simply provide a solution for children, all of us talk about getting kids off the street, right? Well, we got to bring those kids somewhere into a safe and secure environment. And if you're renting that hotel room, you've made an agreement with hotel management. I'm going to do worship Sundays or Saturdays or whatever the prescribed time within that certain time block. But then if you have a burden to bring the children off the street, many times you can't bring those children off the street on a weeknight at 7, 8 p.m. because that's the prime time for the hotel space, right?
Right.
Yeah. The office park, where you may be sharing with another ministry, that's their night for Bible study or choir rehearsal or something of the sort, whatever program is at hand. And so you run into all of these challenges. And so owning a space where you have the liberty to utilize that space for multi-purposes or set programming, it just affords you to do that. What comes with these challenges, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but just having the liberty. You fast forward 11 years later, and I found myself in that same dynamic after it was the Lord had burdened me to go out and initialize a work, to start a church, to plant, if you will. And here I was sharing space, renting space, feeling the same challenges that I'd helped countless amount of pastors navigate through. And I found myself in the same predicament.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So the nonprofit, so it's more of you're trying to focus more on the giving portion as opposed to just trying to make a profit from the transactions. Is that the goal?
Well, yes, I would definitely say that. And the reason why most of our nonprofit organizations are just that, non-for-profit. Right. I know that they look at the mere fact that Uh, we'll keep it. When I say nonprofit, it's very synonymous with Black church in this dialogue, in this
Right.
conversation. You see the giving on Sunday mornings. You see the
Right.
pastor or the priest, if you will, making an appeal.
Right.
And many people just think that this money is just flowing hand over fist, money just
Right.
coming in, coming in, coming in.
Right.
Well, they don't understand commercial space comes with a price tag.
Right.
Commercial utilities come at a higher price tag.
Right.
Insurance for the commercial space comes at a higher price tag. And when you compilate all of these expenses, you'll quickly find out that it is non for profit. It is not.
I got you.
It is not based on just giving alone.
Right. I
But
got you.
also think about it from this perspective. For-profit has a level of competition. Non-for-profit is not going to be as competitive in this particular space, right?
Yeah.
I think that ownership of land is a problem for a certain demographic anyway. For us, let me just keep it clear.
Absolutely.
We have an issue with owning land, period.
Right.
So it's an even greater issue when it comes to commercial property.
Uh-huh.
Oh my. Oh
Right?
my.
They don't want you. They don't want you owning your own home. So of course they don't want you owning any commercial property. So without these, I don't want to call them renegades, like Pastor Long out here scouring the market and finding opportunities for minority communities. What chance do you have in financing your facilities? So it's great to have people who specialize in this to come and help people. Now, here's the thing, Long. I know that this is what you do for churches, but that's not all you do in terms of finance. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But it does have its high demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it. One person said it best. There's a church on every corner, right?
Right.
And so just about every church has a need, from the small neighborhood church to the mega church that you may see on social media or in times past television.
Right.
All of the churches have needs. And so just the volume alone has been overwhelming, which is why I have been in this industry since 2006. And I have never, I've never had a dry season because just the needs are so great.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay. Good. Good. Speaking of dry seasons, so we as we know, a lot of the economics between COVID and things happening abroad have shifted a lot of things around financially, economically, and we know now interest rates are going up. And I want to have the conversation from a perspective, like we started off talking, from a positioning to succeed, because things happen like the 2008 crash, everything there's indicators that something is going on, that something is happening. How to get ahead of the shift economically in our country, especially where we live, so that we're positioned in the right space. Interest rates rising, from my research shows like it's a good time to get in bonds. Stocks and companies are cutting, stocks are dropping. Good time to buy, So how, when it comes to financing and real estate, and I was getting to in the beginning, when we first talked and I asked you that question, you resounded with with a no, as far as like financing might not be the best idea. But is the bar, does the bar lower when interest rates rise, or does it get even tougher to get the financing in a position right now as far as commercial?
Sure. And this mirrors what happens in the residential market. When the price of money is more expensive,
Mhm.
it really becomes more challenging for anybody to do anything, right?
Right.
And so when you now see interest rates in the prime rate particularly double
Right.
of where it was 3 years ago.
Right.
Simple math. You used to could borrow $1, let's say for 4 cents. Now you're
Right.
borrowing $1 or 9 or 10 cents, right?
Right. Right.
And so that's a challenge.
Right.
And you multiply that on a commercial scale, um, you're talking about on average $3,000 or $4,000 a month, or just think about it, an extra 50 grand a year just in servicing a piece of property than what you would have paid, 3 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So is it a good season?
Unless you have a dire need, I will say it like that. If you must build, if you must, there's a new thing going on with a lot of churches, in particularly that rent spaces.
Okay.
And we're seeing landlords increase rents
Right.
substantially. Case in point, the average call that I'm getting now is that I've been in a commercial space leasing for a number of years.
Right.
I'm paying $2,500, $3,000. Now my landlord wants to go up to $47,000 or maybe even $5,000. Same space,
Right.
no
Right.
no capital improvements to the space,
Right.
and
Right.
and so now a lot of churches are looking at either they stay in that space, and you think about it, if you've been renting a space for 5-6 years paying $1,000, and now the landlord wants you to pay 25, psychologically you're going to really have a very difficult time doing that.
Right.
And so most of these churches are grabbing their belongings and going elsewhere.
Right.
In the commercial real estate space right now, everybody's charging $2.50 to $3 for the same piece of property that they only charged $1 for just 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So is it a good time? Unless you have to, I would not suggest that you do that.
Gotcha. So, in your personal opinion, and watching this market and being part of this business, do you feel like will interest rates go down, or at least go down some? Do you feel like this is more of a market reaction to trying to get inflation under control, or do you feel like this might be a norm? Something we have to deal with for the next couple of years.
Well, I do want to say to everybody, if you go back and you look at where the federal prime rate is today,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to where it was in 2004, 2005,
Right.
we're in the exact same climate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am not a psychic, nor do I subscribe to any type of futuristic thought patterns that
And
are
you
not.
didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
No, I did not. My point is, I can't tell you what the future holds, but
Right.
if I look at history,
Yes.
I will say that resets happen
Okay.
to adjust so that the economy can continue to flourish.
So,
That's interesting. Wow. Because we're at the prime rate is at 8%. I was just looking at that.
Correct.
And it was in 2022. It looks like it was around 3%.
Right.
That's huge. That's a
you
huge
said
jump.
prime was at 8. I thought it was at like 6. Yeah, I thought it was 6 something, just under 7.
Google
But they
said
say
8.
the index went up by like 9%.
Yeah, like
correct.
Like you can see it like little bumps and bumps. It seemed like 22. It just went, just boom. It just
Well,
went
and this is something that a lot of people may not be aware of. Most banks, when they are lending to churches, will price for prime plus 1.5. So you even looking at 8%, but if you do prime plus 1, you could easily be at 9%.
Right. Right.
Right.
A lot of that's the base rate, and a lot of cards are set by that. He said, wait.
Now,
Yeah.
I gave a point, and I want to give an example of, because I don't want to just speak in an
Yes.
abstract way.
Okay.
You're a church. You are in a leasing scenario, or let me
Right.
give you a more practical one. You entered into what's known as a hard money loan
Mhm.
a number of years ago, where you're paying interest only.
Right.
Most of those hard money loans are priced somewhere around 12% or higher,
Right.
and you're paying interest only.
Mhm.
9%, 8%, which is principal plus interest. I think it is imperative that you, if you're in an interest only
Mhm.
style loan,
Right.
Daunte Long will say, absolutely, it's time for you to purchase or to refinance.
Okay. Okay.
If you've been renting and you can sustain a mortgage payment that is equal to what you're renting at currently,
Right.
Right.
I think it is the time for you to make that move. Right now, those are the only two scenarios that I think where it is a good time for you to make the move. If right now you have a commercial building, you're trying to make capital improvements,
Right.
I would suggest that you raise the money out of pocket to make those capital improvements. It's not the time to go to the bank and ask for money and borrow that money at 8 and 9%. It may take you longer to raise that capital,
Right.
but I think that it is more, I think it's a wiser move. Let me say it like that. I think it's a wiser move, unless you're in an interest only, or if your rent is in the same neighborhood as a potential mortgage payment.
Okay.
Makes sense.
That's good. That's good. That's good. We'll talk about that, Jeff, because it ain't as clear cut as you're trying to make it. Oh,
What's that?
I don't know if he said, thanks, Joe. He said, wait, what year was it at 3%? Yes, I know where you're
For the
trying to
commercial
go.
market?
Yeah,
Because
well, you just talking
I'm
about
at a 3.
yeah.
I'm at a 3 now.
Well, you talking about
You're
the prime rate when it was set.
You're talking residentially. Most commercial loans that I was privileged to fund 2 years ago were at 4.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, that's that prime plus one model that
Right,
most banks use for commercial property.
She said, Jeff asked, do interest only loans add anything to the backside or the back end?
Yes. Pain.
Pain, agony, distress.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Interest only means just that. You're not applying anything on the front, the middle, or the back of the principal.
Right.
Sorry to be so blunt, but
hey, that's what it is.
The idea is the fact
you're
that
paying every month and don't own nothing.
That
right.
And the selling point is supposed to be, well, we're going to give you 3 years of just paying this little bit of money for the interest, so you have time to grow your income. So in 3 years, when your income grows, then we'll lump on all of the interest.
Walker, the issue with interest-only loans, again, as I said before, and I want to state it again, it's never a little bit of money. Most of the interest-only loans are at 12% and higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the benefit for you is your mortgage payment is less than it would be if it were not interest only, but there's no gain. And so it's designed to be temporary.
Yeah.
That's what it's designed for.
Yeah,
you want to get in there, you want to get out of there before you start penalizing yourself in an interest only loan.
Right. That's the
absolutely
goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They want you to stay in that though. All right. What did I want to ask? I lost my questions.
Somebody has. Go ahead, AD.
Oh no, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say while I'm looking.
No, you got something written. I'm coming up with something. Your camera just went sideways, Pastor Long.
Forgive me.
I was trying to tap into his his real estate, his residential real estate knowledge, because some folks out here looking to buy a house, not looking to buy a building.
Right.
Well, I will say this: with the housing market being inflated, in my opinion, unless it is again that you really need
Right.
to do so, I would do my very best to hold off as long as I possibly could. And I know that there are always insinuating circumstances that make every situation, unique in its presentation. But if I didn't have to purchase, I wouldn't do that right now, because again, the price of money and the value of homes right now, both of these things working in tandem is really making it a very difficult market for financing at this point.
Yeah. And not to mention, it's a seller's market.
It's a
right?
seller's market.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the homes are selling for what they're listed for, because you have more buyers than houses in the marketplace. So that's a challenge, on top of the fact that the rates are much higher right now. So it's not a favorable market for buyers currently, especially in the Atlanta market.
Absolutely.
Atlanta market. Yeah.
I think he answered this, Jeff. He said he doesn't have a crystal ball. He's just going historically, just to kind of watch. He can't really predict. Am I correct?
Jeff, I would say this at some point, but if you ask me what that point is, I'm going to tell you it's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 years.
Well, think about global conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Think about race relations. Think about the political spectrum.
Right.
And all of that will help you understand why the rate. And think about the fact that the U.S. doesn't make anything anymore. So of course our rates are going to be higher. Right. It was only a matter of time before they started to creep back up anyway. The question is, when they drop, how far down will they come? Because no one expected them to drop the way that they did a couple of years ago.
Right.
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
So right now it seems normal.
Right.
It's just normal after coming off rates dropping to the 2s and 3s.
Right. Right. Yeah. That was historically like super low.
Right.
Low. I did have another question, but I'm gonna wait till Pastor Long. I don't know if he's still there. But yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about, is there a way to be positioned always, like to be able to be positioned to seek finance, like how you have your credit together. There you go. All right.
Yeah. Awesome. One of them. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either. But we're talking about high interest rate credit cards, keeping those down, paid down. We're talking about your what's the term, Long, when you're dealing with how far your money goes versus how heavy your bills are? Debt to income ratio.
Absolutely.
How much debt do you have versus your income? They're going to look at that. And so if your debt, what's a healthy debt to income ratio?
In commercial, we talk about it being borrowing no more than 3 times your annual income. We call it the debt coverage ratio, which says that really is only healthy if you borrow. So if you make $1, really to borrow no more than $3.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Gotcha. So that's some of the best ways to stay positioned to, if you ever need to get financing, to be in these kind of mindset, like, because things happen and you want to expand or you want to grow, like, instead of, because I'm sure you've dealt with churches that were not really prepared. They can show the numbers, but they don't have the presentation. They don't have it together to really show what's coming in and, everything of that nature. Things in order where they can just go straight to the bank.
How many churches that don't use any type of accounting software at their church? They're still writing stuff down on pencil and paper. filing it in the file cabinet, if you will.
right,
And
right, right, right.
being to understand, that'll work if you're trying to
That is-
go borrow $50,000 or $60,000, but
Right.
and then in many cases that won't even work in that scenario. You're going to have some type of internal record keeping that is formatted so that you can present it to a bank in an intelligible annual presentation.
Right.
But then, you've got churches that are borrowing $1 million. I've had churches borrow as much as $26 million. The level of financial accounting, whether you move from internal numbers to CPA prepared numbers to CPA reviewed, and then, of course, an audit. Anytime you're talking over $3 million. And so just educating our churches on Miss Margaret, who's a CPA and does your taxes, doesn't necessarily mean that she is equipped to do the church financing. The necessity of having an accredited firm stand behind the integrity of your numbers, and just a myriad of nuances that come into putting together a financial package.
Gotcha. That's good. Some good stuff. Some good stuff. Jeff said, I have a United Explorer credit card that has a 21% interest rate. Wow. All right. All right. So I think that's one of the main things I wanted to really ask about, just being positioned, like you said, having the accredited accounting firm to make sure your books are straight and can, I guess because they're accredited, they can vouch for the numbers as being accurate. And just, I think some of our biggest issues is we're not prepared for our next level. We always talk about it, but we're not prepared for it. We don't have things in order where, okay, boom, hey, I need this stuff so you can get this money. Because, you can come in like, oh, man, you have the assets, you got the income, you got people, you got stuff. All right, what's your paperwork look like?
Right.
And they
now,
open the file cabinets.
One thing I do find, Walker, is that some of our churches that are borrowing under $1 million, looking to have audited financials. And I find that, while that may be good for your internal practices, that's not necessary, to go to a bank if you're only borrowing $700,000 for you to have audited financials. That's another misconception. I've been able to just provide so much education for our churches, not being too extreme, and not being insufficient. Understanding the healthy balance of where you are. And a lot of times doing too much or not doing enough really is the determining factor whether or not you are successful in securing financing.
Gotcha. And that's not just churches, that's any small business owner. That's for anyone.
100%.
And it's important, it's imperative that you pay attention to these things, because the wolves are out there.
Right.
And you end up with nothing. And you said something earlier, man, about the tax person. The person that does your taxes is not necessarily the person that should be doing your books. It could work out for you, but you have to make sure you understand that. Auntie Josine is she used to work at H&R Block.
Yeah, right there.
Part-time.
Right.
During tax season.
Right.
And then she went back to the post office.
Right.
That's not who should be doing your books.
Uncle David, who sold your mama a house, is not necessarily the real estate agent for the nonprofit.
And look, Junebug, just because he always been so smart, he was always so good in math.
Get that stuff.
Not the CFO.
You're right.
Right. All of these, and while this is somewhat
that's tough though. That's a tough question. That's a tough spot though, because these are my people.
Right.
In
people
my
I trust.
circle. Right. Junebug been watching all these YouTubes. He prepared.
I've had so many personal friends who pastor large churches, and as they talk to me and as I start going in and looking at what's going on, I have to have very tough conversations with them. most of us trust our family members, and I get it, because
Right.
most times family members are the only people that will be with you
Right.
when you start and when you get your footing.
Yeah.
As it is that when you begin to really build, having the qualified people in and around you,
Right.
a lot of times is the difference makers.
Mm.
Uh, and you'll be alarmed how many people seeking to do great things, but just do not have it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
That's right.
Lord really, really allowed me to come in, help. There are so many testimonies. Last year, we did a Help My Church seminar where pastors filled a hotel room. They were on social media asking questions by the dozens in that 90-minute time block. We had people from all over the country, and just educating people. I think the main thing that I've been able to do is just provide necessary education. I've been very privileged. God has allowed me to, uh, how can I say it? Uh, he's allowed me to have a good career doing this, right?
Right. Right.
But more than just having that good career, the education to help to let people know you're paying too much for that property. This property is only going to appraise for this amount. This is what your financials need to look like. This is the bank. Let me say this. I always give this as a PSA announcement. Hey, pastor, church leader, deacon, if you're watching this, do not continue to put your money in a bank that will not lend you money. Okay?
Boom.
I've been saying that now for the last several years, and I don't know if we're getting it. So I'm going to say it for the people in the back. Do not put your money into a bank, a lending institution that will not lend you money. And this is a big NOMA. But that bank has branches on every corner. And that's well and that's good. But what good is that doing you when you need?
Right. Right.
Right?
True. That's good.
And why do you have to have a bank on every corner? Why do you keep having to run to the bank? But it goes back. It's funny. Richard just asked a question. Pastor Brian M. McCrory Sr. What does guard your heart and guard your wallet? I think he's asking what that means. And we all know that guarding your heart, you have to be careful about who you let in, be careful about what you subject your heart to and all of that. The same thing with guarding your wallet. I think that's what Pastor Long is alluding to. Be careful where you put your money. Be careful who you entrust your money with, right? To that point, don't put your money where they won't lend you money. That's crazy. And that's something that we've had to learn. We're just so happy to get our money into a bank and be legit. And then we go somewhere else and get a loan. How many people out here have your primary banking in a place where your mortgage is not being held?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Good point. Good point. I don't know if it's a deep explanation, but Jeff was asking about the audited financial.
So the audited financial is simply, Jeff, where again, if you're purchasing something over the $3 million price tag, the audited financial is almost necessary, because the lender, particularly a bank or a lending institution, wants to see not only a financial sheet, what we call a profit and loss statement. They also want to see a balance sheet. Not only a balance sheet, but a statement of financial position. And then also a cash flow statement. So you have all four of these statements that really spell out the entire financial scope of what that particular organization has done for that particular year. Hope that answered your question.
That's good. That's good. That's good. But the expense of it is not worth it if you don't really need it, kind of thing.
You don't really need it.
Gotcha.
Now, if you suspect somebody of stealing or something of that sort, I still don't necessarily think that you need an audit. you can just reconcile financial statements,
Mm-hmm.
bank statements. You can bring in a CPA to do something like that, or an
Okay.
accountant. That would certainly be far less expensive than an audited financial statement.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Awesome. So, of course, anyone watching that wants to contact you concerning getting property financed or any space, they have a church, they're building a church, definitely come see you. And how can we contact you again?
At Daunte, Daunta, at Daunte Long, at Daunte Long. I will tell you this: I've never given out my cell number because the few people that have my number will tell you my phone rings off the hook. People call me all times of the day, all times of the night. Me buy this with two members. They want to buy $1 million church, and I don't believe in being blunt. I just try to let them. It takes time to let somebody down easy, right? So just send me a message on any of the social media platforms at Daunte, Daunta Long, Long. You can find me here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube. And I'm willing to have a conversation with you.
And if you're talking to Daunte Long and you ask a question and his response is Doc, or his response is Ma'am, you've asked the wrong question.
Corey, you know that about me. I get you down as easy as I can, but
so
everybody I've had to let down, there have been many that I've been able to help, and so we're
that's
just
good.
grateful
That's good.
for that.
That's the upside. That's the upside. He does not let go. That's a fact.
All right. So we appreciate you guys for being here, rocking with us another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Thank you, Pastor Long, for coming through and educating us and spending time with us. We appreciate you. Appreciate your wisdom and time. We want to have you back, of course, always. So as interest rates rise and things begin to shift, you can drop some new knowledge on us and
we can bring him
indicators.
back for some political commentary.
Oh yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
100%.
He lives in that world as well.
Entrenched. Yeah, he's definitely entrenched in the political space, so we can get Jeff on the right track. So I appreciate him for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you join our text community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Continue to follow us. Make sure you share this broadcast. It's great information. Again, we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, Mental Health Wednesday. So we can continue to stay safe, make good choices. You or someone you love is having a mental health crisis. Dial 988. Thank you, Mama Corey. Thank you for being here. If I didn't say hey, good morning to you. 988. You or someone you love is having a mental health crisis. Make sure you dial 988. And as always, know that we love you, but Jesus loves you better. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the AM. Pass along. Don't disappear on us. Just give me like 2 minutes. Peace out.